Colonel Aureliano Buendia's men proclaimed him chief of the revolutionary.
Imagine moving to the middle of nowhere to escape a literal ghost, building a town from scratch, and then watching your entire family line fall into a spiral of curses, forbidden romance, and full-blown civil war. Welcome to Macondo, folks. This is your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. If you watched Season 1 of 100 Years of Solitude, you know it was a total fever dream. But with Season 2 right around the corner, keeping track of who is who in the Buendia family tree is honestly a full-time job. Half the guys are named José Arcadio, the other half are named Aureliano, and almost everyone is making questionable life choices. So grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's break down everything that went down in Season 1 so you're 100% ready for what's coming next. Curses, gypsies, and a whole lot of sand. It all starts with José Arcadio Buendía and his wife, Úrsula. They're cousins. Yeah, red flag number 1, and they get married against their family's wishes. Úrsula is terrified that because they're related, their kids will be born with pigtails or severe defects, so she refuses to consummate the marriage. Naturally, this leads to a guy named Prudencio Aguilar talking smack about José Arcadio's manhood. And José Arcadio does what any reasonable person in a historical drama does. He challenges him to a duel and kills him. But instead of solving his problems, Prudencio's ghost starts haunting the couple, literally everywhere they go. So, they pack up their stuff, grab a group of friends, and trek through the wilderness to escape. During the journey, Úrsula gives birth to their first son, José Arcadio Jr., and they keep walking until they find a secluded spot to build a new settlement. Just like that, the legendary town of Macondo is born. Shortly after, Úrsula gives birth to a second son, Aureliano, and everything seems peaceful until the gypsies show up. Enter Marquez, a mysterious gypsy who basically introduces science, tech, and magic to Macondo. He hands José Arcadio Sr. magnets, magnifying glasses, and alchemy kits, and the founder of Macondo completely loses his mind to obsession, ignoring his family and spending all his time locked away trying to figure out the universe. During all this science madness, Úrsula gives birth to a daughter named Amaranta. Meanwhile, their eldest son, José Arcadio Jr., gets introduced to sex by a local woman named Pilar Ternera, gets her pregnant, and then falls head over heels for a gypsy girl and literally runs away with the circus. Úrsula spends 5 months wandering the wilderness looking for him, and while she doesn't find her son, she does find something else game-changing, a path connecting Macondo to the outside world. Bones, amnesia, and God in a camera. When Úrsula comes back, she brings baby Arcadio, José Arcadio Jr.'s illegitimate son with Pilar, into the household to raise him. Aureliano, now a quiet, brooding teenager, retreats into his father's lab, and then comes Rebecca. Rebecca is a young orphan who turns up on their doorstep carrying a literal sack containing her parents' bones. She's feral at first. She actually eats dirt and whitewash off the walls, but Úrsula takes her in, instantly sparking a lifelong, bitter rivalry with her new sister, Amaranta. And if a bag of bones wasn't weird enough, Rebecca brings something worse to town. The insomnia plague. Nobody in Macondo can sleep, and at first, everyone's like, hey, awesome. More time to work. But then the secondary symptom kicks in, amnesia. People start forgetting the names of objects, who their family is, and even their own identities, literally having to paint labels on cows and chairs just to remember what they are. Just as the town is slipping into absolute chaos, who walks back into town? Marquez. He resurrected himself. No big deal. And brought a cure that restores everyone's memories. With the plague gone, Marquez introduces the family to photography. And of course, José Arcadio Sr. gets obsessed all over again, this time trying to take a picture of God. Then, an Italian guy named Pietro Crespi arrives to install a pianola in the Buendia house, and both Rebecca and Amaranta fall madly in love with him. Pietro chooses Rebecca, which completely pushes Amaranta over the edge into self-harm and threats of suicide. Madness and the loss of innocence. Around this time, the outside world starts barging into Macondo. The Colombian government sends a magistrate named Apolinar Moscote to run the town, and while José Arcadio Sr. physically throws him out, Moscote returns with soldiers and his family. Instead of fighting him, young Aureliano falls deeply, head over heels in love with Moscote's youngest daughter, Remedios. The catch? She's way too young. so he has to wait for her to come of age. After a wild night out where Aureliano blacks out and also sleeps with Pilar Ternera, resulting in a son named Aureliano José, Aureliano finally marries Remedios. Remedios brings absolute light and sweetness to the dark Buendia home, even caring for old José Arcadio Sr., who has finally lost his mind completely after Melquiades dies for good. The founder of Macondo becomes so violent that the men of the town have to tie him to a chestnut tree in the backyard, where he sits for years, speaking only in ancient Latin. Because Melquiades was the first person to actually die in Macondo, his death opens the spiritual floodgates, and suddenly, the dead can find the town, including the ghost of Prudencio Aguilar, who comes back to keep old José Arcadio company under the tree. But tragedy strikes hard. Sweet young Remedios gets pregnant with twins, but dies of a blood infection, plunging the entire house into deep mourning. And right on cue, who comes strolling back into town? The long-lost son, José Arcadio Jr. He's now a massive, tattooed, hypermasculine giant. And guess who he lays eyes on? Rebecca. The two start a wild affair and get married almost immediately. And Ursula is so disgusted by them marrying within the family that she kicks them out of the house. War, power, and the rise of the Colonel. Now, this is where Season 1 stops being just a weird family drama and turns into an epic, brutal war story. The magistrate, Moscote, rigs Macondo's first election in favor of the Conservative Party, and Aureliano, seeing the blatant corruption, joins up with a liberal organizer named Alirio Noguera. But when the Conservative army occupies Macondo and executes Noguera, Aureliano decides enough is enough. He leads a liberal uprising, takes back the town, and earns the title that will define him forever, Colonel Aureliano Buendia. The colonel leaves Macondo to fight in the National Civil War, leaving his nephew, Arcadio, Pilar and José Arcadio Jr. secret son, in charge as civil and military chief. Big mistake. Arcadio goes on a massive power trip, dressing like Napoleon, creating a dictator police state, stealing land for his father, levying heavy taxes, and executing anyone who disagrees with him. He even tries to execute the magistrate Moscote, until his grandmother Ursula marches into the square, spanks him in front of the entire town, and takes control herself. Eventually, the Conservative army sweeps back in and retakes Macondo in a bloody massacre. Arcadio is captured and executed by firing squad, and soon after, Colonel Aureliano is brought back to Macondo as a prisoner of war, sentenced to suffer the exact same fate. Season 1 ending. Where we stand. This brings us to that iconic, unforgettable climax. Aureliano is standing against the wall, facing the firing squad, but right before they pull the trigger, his brother José Arcadio Jr. and Rebecca show up at gunpoint. They save him, and the executioners actually defect to the liberal rebellion on the spot. From there, everything spirals into the setup for Season 2. Colonel Aureliano turns his back on soft liberal politicians who want to compromise, rejecting their armistice and going full guerrilla warlord as he plunges deeper into the war. Meanwhile, José Arcadio Jr. is mysteriously shot dead in his home, and nobody knows who fired the gun. Rebecca, consumed by grief and guilt, locks herself inside her house to live as a total hermit for the rest of her life. José Arcadio Buendía, the founder who spent his final years tied to that chestnut tree speaking Latin, quietly dies in his sleep. And Amaranta, after driving her suitor Pietro Crespi to suicide by rejecting him, stays home to raise Arcadio's young kids, including the new twin brothers, José Arcadio II and Aureliano II, while narrowly avoiding a taboo affair with her nephew, Aureliano José, before he runs off to join the war too. Our nerdy thoughts. So, to recap where we leave off, the original founder is dead, the elder brother is murdered, the town has been torn apart by war, and Colonel Aureliano Buendía is out in the wilderness, leading a relentless rebel campaign while the next generation of Buendías grows up in a house full of ghosts and secrets. Season 2 is set to adapt the second half of Gabriel Garcia Marquez's masterpiece, meaning we're going to see the full climax of the Civil War, the arrival of the Banana Company, and the ultimate, tragic destiny of the Buendía line. Who was your favorite character in Season 1? And how do you think Colonel Aureliano's story is going to end? Drop your theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this recap, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming Season 2 deep dives. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in Macondo.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.